Yo, welcome to Right Hand Drive Guys podcast. This is episode 21, the golden era.
Golden era.
The golden era. So, I'm Bobby, this is Aaron.
Hello.
And if you've been listening, rocking with us for the past 20 episodes, and you kind of got a background of what we're into, what we're doing, the cars that we're rolling. But today we kind of want to just talk about the industry itself and where we are kind of in a timeline.
Yeah, because all this is like kind of based on this timeline, right? Of these certain cars becoming legal and actually able to export them out of Japan into America.
Right. These
legally.
cars that we could either couldn't get or had limited access to.
Right.
Our supply has dwindled, and if you're listening to this, you know what we're talking about. We're talking about the Skylines, the Supras, the NSXs.
Yeah, just all the cool stuff.
Right. And so, that's why it's the golden era, because we've had this conversation like quite a few times about how we are in the golden era. Like right now, all of, the past, 8-10 years, you could say, 8 years, probably something like that. In for the next 8-10 max, really, we're kind of in this golden era. Where
again, we're like there's manufacturers remaking parts for these cars that are older.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of a good time to have one of these cars, and they're available in a sense.
Right.
To be
the supply.
To be enjoyed. Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually there to an extent. And so, right now, as we know, this industry's like on a up because of this golden era.
Yeah.
Like everything's like in the green.
Particularly this R34 Skylines.
Right. Yeah, but
right
just
now, lately for sure.
Yeah, but just period in the sense of like you said, these parts, these different even used parts, demand, availability, like everything is like on the up right now. Companies coming out and making more aftermarket support 25 years after the car was released now, so which is really great. But there's always like a downside to a golden era, which means it has to end.
Right.
And so what we wanted to really dive into on this episode was, when does that end, and like how does that affect our lifestyle and car scene all around? Because there is a limited amount of these cars.
Right.
It's not unlimited. It's limited.
Right. They're not making any more.
No. And what there is that hasn't been crashed, hasn't been scrapped, hasn't been parted out, whatever.
Right.
That's all there is. So there's a limited number of slots in this scene, so to speak, that are even available.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's so crazy.
It is crazy. Yeah, and
to think about it.
So we're gonna go through, and when we were talking about it, we were kind of like, what was the earliest like dope import that started coming over here? What year was that? What car was that?
Right, they did hit that first 25 year.
Right, and how did it go? And so, not to say that we like don't do our research, but we don't sit here and deep dive for 6 hours to try to make this extensive list. Like, we're going off our actual knowledge and our opinions, and so it may not be 100% accurate, but it's solid 88.
Yeah. It's not bad. It's just stuff that we picked up along the way, and that things we've seen that we're into. So, but to answer your question, I think like mid 80s was like the start, right? Because that's like AE86 Corolla, the EF Civics, just, the S12
What's the first
Silvias.
year of the R32?
The R32, that was 89. But still, the R31 Skylines.
You're right.
Those are pretty.
2000 GT or whatever that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, but the thing is, right, so let's just say it was 88, right? In what year? So 88... 13.
2012.
2012. Okay. So 2012. Did you start seeing an influx of like those certain cars over here?
I don't think so. No,
I don't either.
And I felt like I was even more in the scene in that sense back in the day. Like I would have thought I would have been seeing them.
Right. Yeah. Just
For sure,
whether
like,
it was like the heavy hitters getting them and building them out like crazy, or just on Craigslist. Then
right,
you know,
right.
like you would have just seen more. I really don't feel like. I don't know. It's kind of weird, isn't it? Like, because if you think about EG Civics, right?
Yeah.
You know, we always saw them back in the day.
Yeah.
You know, like Richie had that EG, right-hand drive EG, and he had two, I think, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
But regardless,
Yeah.
right? So you'd see them. They were around. I had a right-hand drive EG, you know, but this was in like 08, 09, you know, like stuff like that,
Right.
prior to the actual importation date. But when they actually hit, I didn't see an influx like you're seeing, like the crazy amount of Skylines coming through, a bunch of Supras, a bunch of RX-7s. Like,
Right.
I just don't feel like I saw those I mean, I did see some CRXs, the glass tops and stuff,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I don't feel like I just saw it like I'm seeing the rest of this stuff.
Right. Right. It is kind of weird because I don't know. Maybe it was one of those things back in the day where it was kind of still new. You know, it wasn't all these people trying to import things.
Right.
I mean, there could have been. I don't know. But
was
you know,
there
just-
less availability of those cars? Like, had they, like you had mentioned, had they been all like chopped up and like,
yeah.
you know, had they been sacrificed so that we could have the JDM front end swaps or the
Right.
B16
Because
swaps?
you don't see that often anymore, right?
No way. Not like you did, dude. Those
dude,
dudes with whole walls of them. Remember
Yeah.
those? Like just the
just front clips
front ends
with
of everything,
complete
dude.
with fenders, front bumper, like all the lights, like mint. And dude,
Yeah, it's
someone just
crazy.
cut a car in half, and you know you would get that for the engine swap because it had everything.
Yeah.
And you know you would take off what you need and you would scrap the rest of it usually.
Crazy.
You know what I mean? So like, yeah, some of that stuff is impossible to find now.
Right. If you had just kept throwing it in the barn, you
Right.
could have some fenders, some whatever that are really quite desirable.
So yeah, I think that's where a lot of, you know, some of these sought after cars went, is to those
Front
engine
ends.
swaps from those importers back in the day when you were
Yeah.
buying your SRs or whatever. That
H
came out.
Motors online.
Yeah, you know,
all of
that was
those.
coming out of a Type R. That was coming out of, you know, a Sylvia. That was coming out of a 180 SX.
Right.
That RB was coming out of a Skyline. So like, you know, so a lot of these cars have been sacrificed and have been sacrificed for a long time. So
right.
like now
Long
that they're actually
before.
legal, it's like,
Crazy.
oh no, what do we do? And you know, they're like scrambling and getting whatever they can. But yeah, I think that's where a lot of these cars have went.
Yeah.
Especially the
just
ones
like,
that took way too long to hit the 25-year.
Right. So they could start maximizing. But like I just wonder, you know, like were these front end clips, like were they able to make so much money over here off it that they were sacrificing legit cars?
Yeah,
That's insane.
The few people that I knew that were into that and worked in that industry back then, like they would go to Japan and they would buy running driving cars, cut them in half, and like, you know, whatever, pull the parts off and send them back, and you know, fill the container full.
Yeah, that's insane. That like,
but you know, the back half of the car,
they would have made like so much more off of having the actual car.
Yeah, it's insane.
It is crazy.
It's kind of sad.
So, like, that kind of is the thing, though, right? Is so some of these importers shot themselves in the foot.
A little bit.
You know,
they
maybe
were after the quick
not
money.
even themselves, but the future guys in the feet. You know, like they got the quick money, not the long game, like you said. But
Right.
so, like, when does this industry slow down, so to speak? Like, what year and what car ends this whole thing?
It's hard saying because it kind of depends on what manufacturers still come out with in the future, right? Like,
Right.
to take their focus off these old cars, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I mean,
But
because I don't know. Like, so for example, do you think people in 25 years will be importing FL5 Civic Type Rs?
yeah, that's a hard one.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They were released
Right.
here, but so wasn't Supras and RX-7s and stuff. So
Yeah.
what's the difference? Like, what where does it stop before that to where the FL5 is not as like, is it even in 25 years like a car that was like saved by people like that?
Right. I mean, to us, we're like, I don't know, maybe not. But to the kids right now, that's like the new cool car that you're gonna remember, have those core
that
memories.
They want,
yeah. I mean, maybe to them, but it's hard saying.
Yeah. So, that's like a thing. When does it slow down? My guess is like S2000 is gonna be one of the last longer running cars that will continue to be under demand.
Right, I think so too.
Like,
because that was up into the mid 2000s, right? Like,
because it was 01 or 2000, whatever.
Yeah.
Until 2009, I think. So
sounds about right.
I mean, 2025 is first, like, legal, importation.
Right.
So then if you have 8 years after that, I mean, we're well into 2030.
Right.
So, and then, of course, you have the Evos and STIs that were still already here but are in, like, demand still.
Right, they are.
Yeah,
That market's crazy.
Yeah, it is. So you still got some of those.
Yeah, no, I'm sure there's some Subarus, some STIs, and, like, some special editions of... Well, I mean, like, for Nissans, though, I feel like there's not anything...
Not after... I mean, there's going to be the GTR in 09, but...
But still, that's
not even...
It's going to be the same design, you know what I mean? It's like...
Right, and it wasn't as limited. Like, there's a bunch of GTRs out there in America, because of that body style not changing. There's a bunch of them. Whereas, like, for example, Evos and STIs, those body style changed. So now we're way more limited, right? Because they don't all, like, kind of, like, lump together, because there's the, whatever, the bug eye, the Hawkeye, and that really splits it up. But where the GTR, it's like 09 to friggin' 2030, it's the same friggin' thing, I know, different bumper, but that's like it. So I don't see the GTR really being like a major player in like the import game,
right,
because like when we talk about this, like one of my things I was thinking about is like, well, what are these importers going to do when all the hot boy cars are gone? Like when there are no more RX-7s, I mean, what are you going to be trying to flip JDM Evo 10s? Like, nobody's even going to want those.
Right, or getting K cars or whatever there might be. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sure there's something in there that we're missing.
Right.
I'm sure there's, something that if we saw it, we'd be like, oh, okay, yeah. I mean, like, whatever, a Toyota Hiace, like,
right,
sure. that would be cool, and those are newer.
And of course they'll have that business, like, because they kept making those, they just kept getting newer, right? And they'll just continue to be legal. But when it comes to the actual car side,
right, that's what I was gonna say, like the performance cars and things like that, like, I mean, it's gonna be tough. Like, you're going to have to really love that 350Z or Fairlady Z or whatever they called it over there.
Yeah.
Well,
right. Why would you even...
Right. Those
unless
are
it was so cheap because they're abundant, whereas here there's a lack of them.
Right.
It
just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Where, so that's the thing is, so what do these dudes do? Like you said, maybe K cars, maybe, whatever, car carriers, maybe the specialty stuff, but like... they're gonna lose all their models.
Yeah,
all the
crazy.
models because they're gonna blow through them right now, and like that's kind of that.
Yeah,
you'd probably and that's probably what maybe some of these bigger dudes in Japan are doing. Is I would wait, right? I would let all this go by. I would let them get legal, let people snatch them up, and so that they ran out.
Yeah.
And then I would release my supply.
Yeah.
Because then the demand's going to be even higher because everybody's like, oh, dude, you see fucking doing this fucking GTR. And now they want one, but they've been sold out for 2 years.
Yeah.
Dude does a drop of all his limited stuff, and he's
that'd be wild. I'm sure there's someone out there doing that.
Yeah, so I think some of these importers are going to have to kind of evaluate their business plan at that point.
Yeah, absolutely.
They won't be able to sling GTSTs and,
yeah.
you know, whatever.
Because they just won't be there. They're all going to be gone. And, like...
Will it be like a trade-in used dealership thing? Like, they're, like, trying to sell things instead of people personally? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough because, like, they're already kind of scraping from the bottom, like, already with some of these cars. Like, whenever I see one of these dealers get a car that has been legal for a long time, you know, an R32 or something that age, it's like, all right, what's wrong with this? Why did it take so long to get exported? Or like whatever it might be. I'm like, there's got to be something up with this that they're not showing.
Yeah, the only thing would be is if somebody is a private seller that they bought it from and they were holding on to it because they wanted to keep their car.
Right.
That's like the only way, really, right? Because otherwise, if it was just at the auction or out on a lot, it would have gotten scooped up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm interested to see like where it goes and how they like hold on to it because, yeah, it's gonna start to get tough.
I think so.
You know, I mean,
right? Because like they're gonna run out.
And so with that though, right? Like you see EK9 sometimes, but you still same thing with the rest of them, right? Like Honda's really got butchered. Like they really got like like I don't know what it was about the Hondas, but they really just got like scooped right up because Trevor's been looking for a EK9 CTR for me just for fun, just keeping his eye on it, you know. And dude, he just can't. He doesn't see any. Like if they got like 220,000 kilometers, fucking cage, like all of the stuff, you know, that you don't really want if you're buying it.
Yeah, I mean, even when we were in Japan, we didn't really see that many of them.
It's a few.
I saw one in the middle of the day at Daikoku, and it must have been an old man driving it because every single corner was scuffed. It was door dinged, like scrapes on, and it was like the yellow Type R, like red interior. I was like, what is going on? Like, like this is like a rare car.
Yeah,
and it's just like some old dude whipping it. But I guess that's kind of you see the same thing in the States with American cars that are rare, but
people don't. Yeah. So is now the time to buy?
If you want one, like if you have the money and you want it, like absolutely, why not? Like, what are you waiting for?
Right, because that's like the thing, right? Is prices aren't. I mean, they're not like still like on this huge uptick, but they're definitely not like crashing. So it's like, I don't know. You know, people talk shit about people buying R34s and paying X amount for them and saying, you know, this or that. But like, hey, like they're not making any more of them.
Right.
And if you got the money and want one, like you said, like, who cares?
Yeah.
Like,
if it's something you want, like, and you have the money, like, why not, dude? Like, absolutely go for it because, absolutely. They're not making any more. They're not going to be getting any cheaper. If anything, it's going to be the opposite.
No, for sure. I believe that too. Some guys will be like, oh, wait until they come over here, prices will drop.
I mean, am I saying get on some group on Facebook and buy the first R34 GTT you see? No, don't do that.
Don't do that.
Shop around and like try to get a good deal, but that's how I feel about it.
Hit me up. I'll sell you the one I got coming in. But no, I mean, I would say now is the time to buy. I mean, really, it's been the time to buy.
Yeah, 10 years ago was the time to buy.
Yeah,
honestly,
and,
but
sit
like
on stuff. If you had the money 10 years ago and sat on stuff, oh my gosh, there are guys like that.
Yeah,
but so yeah, I mean, when we're talking golden era, like this is the time to really enjoy it, right? Because just like what happens with everything in its timeline. Like right now, and you know, as these Supras and RX-7s, NSXs, Skylines, of course, all become legal, there will be the most excitement, the most support, the most like interest in them, right? Because it's like new, you know, just like it is like what we're even talking about with all these other cars. when those R34s drop, they're new. You know, like that. Haven't you seen how the GTTs just like, people are just like buying those left and right now because they're like new, you know, and it's like exciting. And so
the same thing happened when the 32.
Right. I remember.
Thing.
Yeah, like and so it's like these are the times to really enjoy and soak in about the car industry, not be concerned about people charging too much or doing this or that. You know, it's like, no, like if it's not the right price for you, keep it moving. But otherwise, just enjoy what we're going through right now, because that's why it's the golden era. It's not staying. Like this excitement, it will, just like there was kind of a lull like before this, like in the car industry, there's going to be a lull after like this whole thing.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be nothing to, like we said, there's nothing to keep it as exciting as like constantly moving, right? Like when you're seeing these.
Because you can only do so much.
Right. And there are only so many cars. And so when we're getting excited, we see these, you know, M-Spec nerds like popping out of nowhere, like, what the hell, dude? Like this guy who even had this, you know, or these 400Rs or, you know, and so it's like, that's going to stop, you know, like those dudes will have them. Maybe they'll pop up every once in a while, but there won't be new guys with them, you know, really. So, when we're talking golden era, it's like this is something you really do got to enjoy. What would you say beyond like the R34, the NSX, the RX, these things that we've mentioned? What would you say is like one of the golden era cars that we still have to come that like maybe we haven't considered?
It's kind of tough.
Yeah. I know. I just
know.
Threw this one at you.
Miatas.
Do you think that Miatas will be
really.
that?
I don't know. That next body style of Miata is not that like. Well, I guess they had like a Mazda Speed. I guess RX-8s are. I mean,
do you think? But like they're not going to be expensive if they come over. They won't be like the rest of these cars.
They won't be like that sought after.
Right.
I don't feel like they're going to be way more niche. Like I can't really think of any others, man. It's kind of crazy. I'm going through my head right now, like through every maker, and like I can't really think of much.
Yeah, it really is.
You know, because like
tough.
Nissan as a company after the R34 and the S15, like that whole company took a different direction.
Right.
And it was a whole big thing.
No
and they had to, you know, whatever cut cost, whatever it might be, and until the R35 came out, there was nothing from them. So like, okay, Honda, all they had was, I mean.
Don't say it.
No, I'm not even gonna say it. No, I'm not even gonna say it.
The 01 and
but
the
until
03
like
CTR, dude. Oh my god.
But not until like 06, 07, when that next
FT2
generation, that Civic came out where they had a Type R. Maybe. Yeah. I mean, those are kind of cool.
I think that you'll see those come over.
Yeah, I think
like
those will be
anything else, because we didn't have them and they are dope, like 4-door, like
bangers.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about the 01 to 03 CTR. I mean, I think you'll see them because they'll be lower price. That's what I noticed with them, because I have been looking through for EK9s, and I noticed that that generation CTR is just like cheap. I'm just like, I mean, it'd be cool. Take out the motor, I guess. But yeah, so I mean, right, like you said, I mean, Toyota didn't have nothing after the Supra.
I can't think of anything. I mean, maybe the MRS, those are kind of cool.
Oh, yeah.
I did see a bunch of those over there whenever we were, and like, I don't know, it's weird. You don't see them at all here ever. They're kind of forgotten about, but over there, they're kind of.
Did you see that wide body Dodge Neon I sent you? Dude, that was insane. Not to get off topic, we never get off topic, but this wide body Neon
You've
was
been dreaming
straight.
about it, huh?
Yes, it was straight out of the 90s, dude. Like for sure, like somebody left this in a field or wherever for way too long, but it was just crazy. Like in Rhode Island, this freaking wide body Neon.
Dude. Yeah, that was a mess. That was some nightmare fuel.
And so, yeah, some people are going to try to take advantage of the golden era in like a negative way, of course. You know, like if you listen to any previous episodes just about, you know, importers and buying from different people, you know, some people are going to try to kind of scheme it, so to speak, you know, but again, if you listen to our previous episode, you just got to do your research.
Yeah, that comes with everything.
Yeah, don't let the golden era turn into like something really crappy because you got ripped off on a rusted out car, you know.
Yeah.
Because those are definitely out there.
And actually, hold on. Speaking of rust, that is also another thing that took a lot of these cars.
Oh, yeah.
Specifically the R34s and S15s. Those definitely have issues with like structural rust, and it will destroy the car. But
especially depending on, of course, where it was. But I mean, Japan is an island.
Right. And just like the way they manufacture the cars, they didn't seal a lot of it to cut costs and stuff like that. So they're way more prone to rust in like the strut towers, the frame rails, and all that structural type stuff. That's also what took a lot of these cars. So be scared of that too.
Right. I mean, there's obviously so many factors between, you know, being there, just like all the cars you see get destroyed here. Yeah. One way or another. You know, whether it's a flood or if it's an accident or if whatever, right? Fire.
Radioactive.
Right. I wonder what the car count is from Fukushima.
Oh yeah, I've seen some videos on YouTube of people going around like that exclusion zone, and there's definitely some stuff in there.
Really?
Yeah, it's kind of sad.
Yeah, I bet. And so that's the thing, like how many we lose from that, you know, how many have we lost from this or that. So that's the thing is our whole point here is like this is a very short period that we're living right now that is actually, if you're guys like us, this is like the pinnacle, right? This is like the last, the climax, right? There'll still be some, you know, like after, but not like now, you know. And so that is, you know, probably in part what drew us to even do this podcast was that all of this activity right now, all of this stuff just constantly going on based around these right-hand drive cars with now almost superstars that are involved with them, you know, Adam LZ, you know, Denofa, all these different guys that are into right-hand drive cars that now are becoming almost mini little celebrities around it. It's kind of crazy, right? Because that really wasn't or couldn't have been a thing 20, 15 years ago, however many, you know, maybe on a small scale locally, regionally, right? But now from all these different media outlets and the availability of these cars, these guys are just like skyrocketing, which is great for like the industry. It gets us exposure in a good way usually, you know, from some of these guys.
Drives up the price of some parts.
It does like contribute to the market in many ways, not just good ways.
Like the price of Ganadors. Thanks a lot,
because all those dudes, yes, they have them on every single car. So it's like everybody, you know, not everybody, but a bunch of guys want them, right? So it's just crazy how it's really developing during the golden era into this different thing. Dude, LZ's merch being sold in Zoomies is like our shit. Yeah, like that's like in there. Like that was never in there. That was never even considered. Like the import car stuff was just like, yeah, okay, whatever. You know, but now we have like an ambassador, you know, and I'm not trying to like ride LZ's butt or anything. whatever you want to say. I'm just simply explaining like whether you love him or hate him, like he is an ambassador for like some of the stuff that we love, and he's getting us exposure. Yeah. You know?
Absolutely.
But yeah, I just gonna enjoy it.
Yeah,
you know,
me
just
too.
Like and just watch it all happen. Try to be as much of a part of it as my life allows. Yeah. You know, just and try to make sure that I'm taking a step back and looking at it as a whole and not just get carried away with like my personal goals and the things I want to do with my cars, you know, making sure that I'm absorbing the rest of it too, you know, and not getting tunnel vision.
Right. Hell yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I'm excited to see how it goes, but
Yeah.
I do realize that right now is just, it won't be any, not saying it won't be, but it probably won't be any better than this.
Right,
These
like-
next few 5, 6, 7, 8 years.
That's what I was gonna say. These next like 5 years is gonna be kind of wild for that industry. Like for all these cars coming over, and yeah,
And just
get the
seeing how
kind
it
of
goes, yeah.
and the ending of like that.
Are people gonna keep buying them? Like,
Right.
are people even gonna have the
Like
money to buy them?
like 2030, 2030 was just gonna be weird. I bet.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where everything is at that point. Hopefully, we're on episode 1082 or something. You know, at that point, whatever it
Maybe.
may be, I don't know. But, yeah, I mean, for now, we'll wrap this up. We just wanted to kind of just touch on how really lucky we are to be here right now.
Yeah, and just everything lined up.
Yeah, for sure.
It's awesome.
So, all right, this is episode 21 of Right Hand Drive, guys. Make sure to follow us at RHD GUIS. You can find us on YouTube now and all that good stuff. I'm Bobby. This is Aaron.
See ya.
Peace.